And we are here with Geno Crandall, basketball guard, and you're a former North Dakota and Gonzaga graduate. I want to ask you how you doing.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, thank you for having me on. Super appreciative.
Now you're currently playing basketball overseas. How have you enjoyed playing in England right now? And what are some of the goals that you have for this current England team that you're playing for right now?
It's been nice. It's been cool. A lot easier, I think, being over here just because everybody speaks English, obviously. But no, right now I'm with the Leicester Riders, who are like historically one of kind of the top tier teams over here in England in this league. And I think this year we got a really talented team. We got quite a few Americans and they can really played at high levels in college as well. Some Canadian guys that played in the NCAA as well. And obviously everybody has their own professional experiences also playing over here in Europe. And so I think we have a really talented, really experienced team that should be able to win a lot of games and compete for championships. I think is the ultimate goal, for anybody, but especially for myself and for the team that we have right now. I think if we do everything that we should do day in and day out and continue to grow and compete and get better, that we should be in position to win a championship come springtime.
Let's kind of go back on your basketball life that you've preciously been doing for years after years after years. Growing up, when was your realization that you realized basketball was going to be your future? And, growing up, did you have any other career goals in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think weirdly enough, like I think for me it was kind of always basketball. And just for as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a basketball player. Like, you have like career days at school or whatever, and people talk about what they want to be when they grow up. And for me, it was always just being a basketball player. Like there was never any other thought to it really. It was kind of all in on that. Just bet on myself in that aspect. Yeah, I mean it's worked out a little bit so far. I hopefully continue to have success in that area until I figure out what the next thing is. So I think like the older you get, especially like playing basketball or playing any sport professionally, probably, and especially being over here where you're kind of by yourself, you don't have a bunch of like family commitments or other commitments outside of basketball, is you're only in the gym for a certain, amount of hours every day. And then you have just a bunch of time to yourself. You figure out what else it is you're interested in. And, you realize that one day the ball is going to stop bouncing and you're going to have to figure out something to do. But for me right now, obviously it's basketball. And like for as long as I can remember, that's just kind of been like who I was, like in my mind. It was always like Geno, the basketball player. There never really was like a what else.
In basketball, we all have inspirations. I remember us talking before previously that two of your inspirations would have to be Allen Iverson. And as far as Kevin Garnett, I mean, I know that's another basketball inspiration. How have those inspirations played a huge part in your basketball career?
Just growing up in Minnesota, getting to see KG like at his height, watching and like growing up as he was growing in the league and just like always having that like vocal like leadership to him. He's always yelling. He was always like a huge presence on the court. He might not have been, he's a tall guy. He might not have been a huge guy, in terms of muscular stature and whatnot, but his energy, his aura was always huge. Like he carried a lot of gravity on the court. He was big vocally, energy wise. He played with more energy than anybody else out there. I think that's also another thing that like I tried to emulate in ways, tried to be vocal, tried to be loud, and just like really, really, really have a lot of respect and like admiration for Kevin Garnett just being a Minnesota guy. Allen Iverson, like in particular, like ever since I was young, kind of always just admired him a lot, was inspired by him, like took a lot of cues. I was always smaller, he was the smaller guy on the court, usually the smallest guy on the court. But he just always, had fight to him, had heart to him. Obviously was super skilled and that goes a long way. But I think one thing that a lot of people know about Allen Iverson is just he had like a dog like mentality to him. He just worked and worked and, was never gonna back down from anything. I think especially growing up, that was kind of a mindset that I brought with me to the court because again, I was really small, really undersized. Even growing up, kind of often overlooked when it came to like ranking and recruiting and all that. Just having that work like mindset and that I'm just gonna be a dog. I'll work the person in front of me and not back down no matter what. Really kind of shapes like who I was as a basketball player growing up, and I think I still carry a lot of that with me today as well.
Now, you've attended University of North Dakota from 2015 to 2017 of the Big Sky Conference. And, and speaking about college basketball, you've also played at Gonzaga as well, too. Discuss the process that was in attending North Dakota and what were some of the factors in that?
So like kind of in ending up there, I mean, again, I'm from Minnesota, so University of North Dakota's campus is probably only about 4.5 hour drive from where I grew up at. So I think the proximity to home was something for me that helped out because I was only 17 when I graduated. I was a year young out of high school, at least going into my senior year of the first Division I school that had offered me a scholarship. There was a lot of factors that went into that, me being undersized and not being like crazy athletic or crazy fast at the time. I think I developed all those things a lot more in my basketball journey, but like not highly recruited prospect. Them to be the first school that was really wanting to take a chance on me. I think I had built a good relationship with a couple of the assistants there, enjoyed my visit, kind of bonded with a couple of the players. Quinn Hooker was also from Minnesota, was there at the time as his freshman year, and kind of just I really liked how he played basketball. I seen him being like us being good running mates on the court and playing well together. They offered me, early, like they seen something early that they're like, oh, we're interested. Not like, let's wait and see if he can show more. Like we want who he is right now. And like I seen it as an opportunity to grow. I thought I could grow a lot as a player there and as a person, and I did in both aspects.
So you go from playing at the University of North Dakota from 2015 to 2017, and then you transferred to Gonzaga in 2018. Tell us about that experience at the University of Gonzaga, playing there in the West Coast Conference. And what kind of led to you transferring to Gonzaga? I'm sure you've had a lot of other schools that at the time you were transferring that were interested in you.
Like I felt like I had gotten out of that program pretty much all that I was going to get out of, especially after kind of having a little bit of a bumpy junior season. The opportunity came that I realized I would be able to possibly graduate and transfer. Jumped on that opportunity. It took a lot of work. I had a lot of coursework to actually finish up before being eligible to graduate, but just kind of buckled down to get that stuff done. And then once it was time, like the transfer, once I announced that I was transferring, I really only had a couple schools that I was like actually really interested in initially. Gonzaga being one of them, Xavier, Minnesota, Colorado State. My high school coach ended up going there. I was interested in going there, but I really only had a couple schools that I even wanted to talk to. And then kind of the news that I was transferring ended up growing bigger than kind of I had anticipated or even wanted, and just kind of got swamped with like phone calls and you know coaches wanting to talk and offer scholarships and all of this. Because I mean, like people really value fifth year seniors, transfer. You don't have to worry about bringing in a freshman or a JUCO kid. You have somebody proven they can produce at that level. And I had done it at a really high level. But then just going through the whole recruiting process, I mean, I talked to a few of the schools, visited a few. On my visit and like in talking to the coaches and players at Gonzaga, I was just kind of blown away by everything that the school was. Just the culture that they have there and the support that they have in the community, and then just how they grow players. If you step foot on Gonzaga's campus, you're going to be a better basketball player when you're leaving. Like there's no, there's really no other way around it. Like you're going to get better. That was a huge thing that I wanted, to continue to grow, to continue to elevate myself and elevate my game, and also to compete for a national championship. I'll kind of take it to my grave that I think we were the best team in college basketball. We just had an off night in the NCAA tournament in the Elite Eight. And, it happens. That's kind of the cool thing about March Madness is you get one game and anybody can win. But yeah, I mean, I really, really wanted to play for a national championship. And we had as good a shot as anybody. We just didn't capitalize, 2-3 shots away from winning that. But yeah, it was definitely a road to get there. Of course, a crazy journey, but I'm super thankful to have had the opportunity.
Overall, when you look back on your college experience as a basketball player, how have you enjoyed it?
It's been crazy. I've had like the full gambit of like being under recruited, going to a small school. My redshirt year, they won like 8 games or something. Like it was really bad. But once my first year playing, we had a couple other guys that were freshmen that came in. A couple transfers. It was like a building year. I had some success. Like we're in a good spot. Won a lot of games, pretty good in the conference tournament, and just used it like as a year to grow. Then the following year, get into the NCAA tournament. That being the first time in North Dakota history, that was a really cool experience, a really cool thing to be a part of. Then the next year, kind of having a drop off with some guys transferring and some guys graduating. The road kind of being a little more bumpy and learning things and facing adversity, transferring, being one of like the most sought after transfers in the country. And then, committing and going to Gonzaga and being a part of that, being, the number one ranked team for, pretty much like 70% of the season. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a ton of fun, a crazy experience. I like it feels like I did everything there was to do in the college basketball world. Like it seen it all, been through it all. It was really fun. Like college, it was a special time. Like if I could go back, I'd go back in a heartbeat and do it all again.
Crazy crowd experiences, sold out events.
Hmm.
Can't beat that, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy, especially at Gonzaga. Like you're playing in front of a sellout crowd every night, at home or on the road. So that's an experience.
Memorable experiences in basketball, especially I know having to be in the tournament twice, North Dakota, at Gonzaga. But overall for you, what has been some of your other memorable experiences?
I would say definitely the NCAA tournament. I think the first time was really special. Being at North Dakota, it being the first time that North Dakota had ever made it was a really cool thing to be a part of. Just kind of the energy that surrounded the program, that year was kind of crazy. Like we were getting crazy support. And again, just doing something, historic. The school's first ever time being the small school on that stage, Arizona. I think we were the 15 seed, they were the 2 seed. So playing against, the big school, having that experience, playing in Hawaii in the preseason tournament that we did out there was super fun. Winning, the Maui Invitational, being on the opposite end of what I had been, my first year, where we were the small school playing the big school. This time I was, the big school. We were experiencing that, and just like the media circus that was surrounding us everywhere, like just cameras everywhere all the time. You're getting pulled here and there as soon as practice is over, before practice begins. Like it was crazy. It's things that like as a kid you kind of dream about. When you know that you want to play basketball, you know that you want to do it at the highest level, and then to experience all those things is super rewarding.
You're pursuing basketball still at a high level. Have you thought about, the future after basketball? Or, what have been some of your thoughts as far as the future goes?
Some guys, go back to school to finish getting their degrees if they, didn't finish or left early. Some guys, if they've already gotten their bachelor's, start working on their master. So it's just a time that like I think a lot of people, you don't want to like put too much of your focus in other areas, because you do still want to play at a really high level and come in every day with, a work-like mindset about your craft, about basketball. But I think it is something that, especially the older you get and the more you do it, and the more wear and tear you put on your body, and the more time you spend away from home, away from your girlfriends and your families, and if people got kids, you do start to think about life after basketball some, I think. And for me, I'm not 100% sure what that looks like yet. I know I have a passion. I helped found a nonprofit organization back home in Minnesota, provide opportunities in underserved parts of my community that I grew up in. And so I think once basketball is over for me, it's going to be finding some avenue just to help people, help provide services, help provide experiences, help provide opportunities, to increase equity in some of these underserved areas, and, just create better lives for people any way I can. And yeah, I don't know what that looks like yet. I know that's a passion of mine, and hopefully it's something that, I'll have access to the means, the people that I need to be in touch with to make that happen every day. Trying to get better, constantly just building yourself up, getting better and better. I think a lot of people might have this mindset about athletes in general. And like when it comes to basketball, you've had your college days. Now you're a professional and you're at this level. Like that's what level you're just going to be at. Like, no, it's about working every day to get better. Even the best guys in the world, LeBron James is working to get better every day. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, these guys are all working every day because they feel like they can get better. So if they're the best players in the world and they can get better, then why can't, I get better as well? So it's about having the right mindset and just working hard toward those goals. Because my goals for basketball is just to see how far I can take it. How high can I get? Like what is the highest level that I can play at and be successful?
What advice would you give to someone who is pursuing a career in basketball?
My biggest piece of advice is just believing in yourself, and not like in like a cocky, like false confidence, like macho bravado kind of way, but like deeply and like profoundly believing in yourself and believing that you have enough to be successful and that you can put the work in to be successful. Because I think that's a big separator between people who are and who aren't successful, is just putting the work in. Like I take myself, for example. I use myself as an example for a lot because obviously I have the most experience. Like with myself, I can't relate other people when I don't know everything they have going on or everything about them, but I know my whole story. And like for me, super under recruited coming out of high school. Even before that, like my freshman year of high school, like they come out with like the local ranking 200th and something, like in the state of Minnesota, and then by the time we were graduating, my graduating class as seniors, I was ranked 7th in the state. And that was really only behind a few guys that ended up going to the NBA and a few guys that are still playing, at a high level over here in Europe. So like I started, way down here to being a part of that pack, and just through working, like just through working hard every day and believing in myself, truly believing that I could do it and that that's what I wanted to do. And then even getting to college, like I was under recruited, ended up at a small school and continued to work and got better. I redshirted a year, didn't play on the team, just practiced and just got better. Was in the weight room, was constantly working out, getting my jump shot better, getting my handle better, working on finishing. And then, you fast forward 3 years down the line, I was all conference a couple times, been to the NCAA tournament, and now I'm transferring and kind of in charge of my own destiny and end up at the #1 school in the country, and play a huge role for the #1 team in the country. And it was just about working, constantly working and believing in myself. I got there and broke my hand. And it was like, oh, am I going to be upset about this? And I got back, coach threw me right back in the lineup and was like, go do it, go play. We need you. Like you worked your butt off to get back. Like now you're healthy, you're ready to play. Go. Probably had some people who thought that was just going to be the end of it. After my last year in Gonzaga, I'd sacrifice numbers to win. Like I wanted to be at a winning program, so my numbers went down. And they're probably like, that's it, or maybe you'll go play at some low level or whatever it might be. And here I am 2 years down the line, still playing at a high level, still a professional, and honestly, like just getting better. Like every day, I'm getting better. Like I feel like I'm better this year than I was last year. I feel like I was better last year than I was the year before. So who knows where that's going to take me? But it's all about just believing in yourself and believing you can do it. Whether there's people that say you can't, and even if there's people that say you can, if you have everyone supporting you, you still have to believe in it yourself. And like I said, deeply and profoundly believe in it, not just walk around saying, oh, I can do it, I can do it. Like it's one thing to talk about it, but if in your heart and in your mind whether you really believe you can do something. And I think if you believe you can do it, put yourself in a position to be there.
And who are 3 people in your life that you're most thankful for?
Definitely my mother. My mom's done a lot for me, sacrificed a lot, always been there for me. And then it's hard to single one out. The coaching staff at Gonzaga, probably, like if I could, just would say everybody, from Coach Few to Coach Lloyd, Coach Michelson, Coach Daniels, Coach Gentry, Coach Sands, everybody, the whole staff, Coach Knight, like everybody was super helpful for me in my time there, and helped me, improve and grow as a basketball player and as a person. My life is 100% better for having spent my year there that I did. For them even taking a chance on me, giving me the opportunity, and then continuing to work with me and help me grow as I was there, and even as I'm gone, always continuing to check up on me, continuing to make sure things are good, continuing to question me on how am I getting better, how am I working to get to where I want to be at. Super thankful for them and for everything. And then probably my little brothers, like they just push me kind of in a way, like they're annoying and push my buttons, but they kind of push me to be better as well, because I know that whether they say it or not, that they're proud and like enjoy telling people I'm their big brother, if they, I'm on TV or something, or if they're watching a game, or if they want to post something on their social medias or whatever. I know they enjoy that. So probably those would be the 3 that I would have to give thanks to.
Overall for you in basketball, what has been your enjoyment from it?
I think I enjoy the competitiveness the most. Just it's like a chess match, or like like a puzzle you got to figure out. It's like the other team's going to do this, and this. Well, what are we going to do? How are we going to combat that thinking aspect, and like the wanting to be better, and just the competitive and giving it your all, just being like the dog type mentality. Like say you have 2 dogs in opposite corners and you just throw a bone in the middle. Who's going to get it? That's like basketball. The ball bounces off the rim. Who's going to go get that rebound? If your man's dribbling at you, are you going to be the dog that's going to step up and get a stop, steal the ball from them, or force a 24-second violation? So definitely that. And then second to that would just like, I enjoy the relationships and the places that I've been. Yeah, the people, the relationships are a huge part of basketball for me. I think pretty much all of my best friends, like we've met through basketball. We bond over basketball. Even a lot of the guys from my North Dakota and Gonzaga team. Like we'll check in on each other, and somehow the conversation always turns to basketball. I mean, I know a lot of us are still playing, so it's easy to take it there. But even the ones that aren't, like the conversation always gets back to basketball somehow. So super thankful for those relationships, and then obviously the experiences and getting to travel the world to play basketball, getting to travel all across the country when I was in college, and getting to see all these cool places, all because of a basketball that weighs a couple of ounces. Like it's a really fortunate situation that I find myself in. Extremely thankful for everything basketball has done for me and everybody that's given me an opportunity to play basketball at this level.
And we are here with Geno Crandall. Just wanted to wish you all the best and keep up the great work, brother.
For sure. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.